Hey everyone, welcome back to another enlightening episode of
The Skooled Zone.
Alright, so when we last left off, we had completely covered all of Piero's lab and talked to a few people and read a bunch of books. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into the Hound Pits Pub, but first we're going to just take a quick look around to see if we missed any more loot. And I think we did, yep. This little dark vision power is amazing. It's like X-ray vision. Alright, we're going to turn it off. I'll turn it off whenever we don't really need it, because it can be a little jarring on the eyes. Let's pick up this coin. Mysteries of Pandyssia. Excerpt from a book on the far continent, Pandyssia. At the Academy of Natural Philosophy, they speak of the Pandyssian continent as a place of wonder, where all life has entwined and blossomed across eons. An eon is a term for a really, really long time, such as like 1 billion years, producing a vibrant ecology unrivaled in the civilized world. The overseers of the Abbey of the Everyman, by contrast, talk of horror and heresies, of cults of submen engaged in brutal and perverse rituals. The few who have traveled to the far continent and come back to the Isles, those who have actually touched the soil there, have returned with notes that describe vast deserts, deep jungles, and outlandish creatures that defy belief. Once in a generation, a great effort is mounted to build a colony there, in hopes of this someday growing into a port city to rival Dunwall itself. But to date, these attempts have all ended in madness and failure. I don't know if the game writer intended it, but this is reminiscent of the way Europeans thought of Africa back in the day. So think of like Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad, which was actually written around when Dishonored would have taken place. You never know. Cape of Teeth map. Alright, so to me, this looks exactly like the one in Piero's lab, and oh, you get loot for it. Oh, well then you know what? We're going to run over here and grab the one that we forgot to grab in the last episode. Slide and hop. Oh. Too clever by half. Alright, so let's, I think we got everything here. See if she has anything else new to say.
You know, I tried to attend services with the overseers for a while. They've just gotten more and more, I don't know, rabid about the 7 strictures and witchcraft and all that nonsense.
Yep, that is true. Alright, so let's head inside. And before we talk to Admiral Havelock here, we are going to take a look around the bar and upstairs and see if there's anything left to educate ourselves about. Yep, coin, wouldn't have seen that. Fill up our health bar. Hemlock, we covered that in a previous episode.
Good day, Master Corvo.
I think the Admiral's awfully distinguished, don't you?
No, not really. Okay. I don't know why we're sneaking now. Alright. What is this? An apricot tartlet. Well, a tartlet is a mini tart. And a tart is basically a really thin pie without the crust on top. Even learning culinary facts on this channel. Alright. Beer tap. So, that was neat. I'm going to do it again. So, beer taps, as they are today, using pressurized gas, are a relatively modern invention, but something called a beer engine was invented between the 17th and 18th centuries, which was the precursor to the beer tap we see here. So it used hand cranks to create the draw pressure. I'm sure Dishonored, being steampunk in style, uses steam pressure to pump the beer. A couple little coins down here. You know, during college, I worked in a bar, and after it closed and lights came up, there'd always be money under the table. So that is quite apropos. We're going to run upstairs here, see what else is going on. We have a little whiskey den, cave, cellar, whiskey cellar. I think that's what you call it. I don't know. In fact, I actually don't know a lot about the brewing process. I know this is probably a still. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up to you guys and see if you know anything that is interesting about this, how it works. Maybe we have an engineer or a brewmaster watching the video. You never know. So that's what the After Skooled Club is for. So leave a comment if you know anything about that or anything else that comes up. Grab that and go inside. All right, what do we have here? Litany on the White Cliff and a pear. Tyvian pear, actually. Well, Tyvia, as we discussed in a previous episode, is another island in the Empire, but I can give you a couple of cool factoids about pears. Pear trees are closely related to roses. In fact, pears were first cultivated in ancient China, and nowadays there are thousands of types of pears on the market. And what else do I know? Before tobacco was introduced to Europe from the Americas, Europeans used to smoke pear leaves. Something I do not recommend, of course. Litany on the White Cliff. Let's check it out. Excerpt from a series of Overseer invocations by High Overseer Abram Templeton. So, invocations are basically spoken prayers used for calling up a spirit to help. And I say to you, brothers, it is here that we make our stand as a righteous force against the growing darkness. It is here that we unite against the spirits of the unknown that would drag us screaming into the night, never to return to our homes, to our families. Together we will serve as a rod to those who would stray from the herd. So in this context, he's either referring to a shepherd's rod used for pulling back wandering sheep, or a switch used for punishment. Most likely, this is a subtle reference to the rod mentioned in Leviticus. For the foggy gray wastes of the outsider, we will burn a bright fire with our virtuous actions so that the others will not lose their way. And to those who choose to wander beyond the walls of our homes in far places, we will strike at them swiftly before they whisper to their neighbors, filling their hearts with strangeness and doubt. Weird. Bathroom here, I think. Yep. Little coin. Some powdered crystal. I don't know what for. And we have a little bathroom reading, you could say. The shadow on Bitterleaf. Not sure if they meant this, but Bitterleaf in real life refers to a plant called Vernonia, sometimes called ironwood. Excerpt from a much longer work of fiction. Finding my way in the feeble light of the dying fire, I saw her working. A large needle moved in her hand, following precise esoteric patterns. Esoteric means like strange or very unknown knowledge. Knots and loops of seamstress craft from ancient days. Beneath her needle, his body clenched and shuddered, shaking the wooden table. A morbid fascination pushed me closer, until she turned her blank face toward me, resting the needle in his flesh. With a refined tone, she addressed me. So, you are the lover, I presume. You, too, have been unfaithful, and it is now your turn to be mended. Okay. Once again, little Frankensteinish there. Pretty cool. Let's see what's under here. The Young Prince of Tyvia. Excerpt from a theater play. Lord Nathan Bale, shaking with outrage. How dare you, sir, clothed so in my very home? I should hand you over to the watch, depraved Tyvian. Prince Khalasar, moving closer. That's a harsh welcome for royalty, my lord. Your daughter treated me with much more hospitality. Alas, she has gone out for the evening, leaving me all alone. Lord Nathan Boyle, stammering, studying the younger man before him. What are you doing? Leave this house. Go back to your frozen wasteland, pale rascal. Prince Kalasar, smiling coyly, which means purposely shy or evasive, reaching out. No need for anger between us, Lord Bale. Is it so wrong for me to be here? As I've proven, I've developed an affinity for you and your family. Affinity means a liking or attraction. Lord Nathan Bale, gasping, Oh my, Kalasar, your skin is so warm, it burns. Not sure what that's supposed to mean. Leave a comment if you have any thoughts. Little coinage. Harpooner songs. Okay, so I know what this is. It's kind of a take on an old pirate shanty. The old pirate shanty would go, What will we do with the drunken sailor? So this one says, What will we do with the drunken whaler? Pretty interesting here. Kind of adapted it for Dishonored. Alright, let's keep going. See what else we have here. Little key we can pilfer. Havelock Log, Entry 1. It has been days since our men were dispatched to stash weapons for Corvo in the old sewer. They have not returned, so I can only hope they succeeded in getting the packages delivered. Piero spent considerable time and resources making those things. If I could find a way to mass produce them, the Dunwall Navy would secure its place as the dominant force on the globe. But back to Corvo. Can he actually break out of Coldridge? And if so, will he make his way here? I personally give him odds of 1 in 5. Oh, we beat those odds, buddy.
Corvo seems to have arrived in good shape. Much better than I expected, given what I've seen of Coldridge Prison. He seems willing to work with us, and he shouldn't lack for motivation. The man has lost everything. We'll judge how he performs in the field. And if I can, I'll find a way to test him personally.
Yep, that test is coming up. Coins.
Lydia and I trade chores sometimes, and I'm starting to think I never come out ahead. She's a smart one.
Oh yeah, hi, Cecilia.
I hope the attic's to your liking. I've slept there myself on summer nights.
She's gonna be an ally a little later in the game. Alright, so let's read this Admiralty and the Fleet. Excerpt from a book on naval history. While each of the isles has some form of naval fleet, none is more envied than that of Bristol, with its long, proud history of great ships and the admirals who command them. Boys come of age in the cities of Bristol, hoping to someday captain such a ship, and family dynasties are made by those captains who track down infamous pirates, which means like known to be evil, or crush seditious, which means inciting a riot or rebellion, uprisings, as during the Morley insurrection, which is also another word for revolt or rebellion, but in a more formal sense. In times of war and peace, Bristol continues to innovate at sea. The ship designs of Anton Sokolov himself now represent the highest standard in the whaling trade, allowing crews to haul their kill up over the deck and begin their butchery and processing, even as the ship returns to Dunwall. The crews can be seen working on their latest whale as the ship moves slowly up the Wrenhaven River, coming to dock with one of the powerful warehouse companies such as the Greaves Whaling House. Suspended in the rigging overhead and backlit by the setting sun, the silhouette of one of these creatures makes a moving sight as it cruises to its final resting place in the industrial heart of the capital city. Alright, we talked a little bit about scaffolding and whaling ships in previous episodes. Let's check out this. A Gaffer's Tale, Volume 1. An excerpt from the travel journal of a young whaler. A Gaffer's Tale, Volume 1, or A Gaffer's Early Adventures. So if you're in the film industry, a gaffer is usually the head electrician on set, but the word gaffer used to mean like a boss or a foreman of a group of working men, such as whalers in this case. My sister Nina and I left Tyvia together, saying goodbye to our aunt, the woman who had raised us since childhood. Leaving behind our home city of Yarrow and the cold but beautiful white landscapes we had always known, we boarded a ship for Dunwall. Our parents had left us with a sizable inheritance, and we spent half of this getting to the capital city and establishing a small import shop dedicated to Tyvia furs. Once I'd helped Nina establish the business, I was free to pursue my dream. Signing on with a whaling ship was the most exciting thing I'd ever done, and I saw it as a means to an end. Someday I would captain my own crew and eventually own a fleet of similar vessels. With tears in her eyes, Nina kissed me farewell, and I did not see her again for many months. As an apprentice to the gaffer, I got to see the tracking and killing of the great beasts up close. Nothing had ever fired my spirit so as the wind and pounding waves, racing after a wounded whale, being pulled by a skein of cables embedded in its thick flesh. A skein usually means a wire that's coiled up or being coiled up. I could be wrong, but I think we saw a skein of cable in the first episode in the courtyard where Emily was playing hide and seek. I changed more in those first 7 months than I had in the previous 7 years. Whaling was beginning to put its mark on me, so that Nina barely recognized me when I returned, tanned and sinewy with muscle. Sinewy means tough or stringy. Weather creases already wrinkling the corners of my eyes, but she could see that I was filled with joy, having found my purpose. Always good to find one's purpose. Okay. Let's see what else we have. The Gaffer's Tale 2. Alright, so we're probably getting on to a longer episode. So let me just see if there's any quick treasure I can grab here. And then we'll go back and read that book in the next episode. An apricot tartlet, yum, making me a little hungry.
Lord Pendleton Memoirs, Chapter 27. In my 13th year, the despised stepmother at last departed, and Pendleton Hall was again quiet, although Father had by then sunk into deep depression. It was at this sensitive time that Waverly Boyle first entered my life. She who will be the source of many tender recollections to come.
So, Waverly Boyle is a character we will meet later during that mission.
Are you a nobleman, Corvo? No one seems to know much about you. By your bearing, I'd say so. Lord Pendleton's great-grandfather took a Sokonan chambermaid to wife. On second thought, the story doesn't bear repeating. Even the finest blood can go bad here and there.
Well, he wasn't very friendly. So we're just going to have to just steal some stuff right out from under him. Alright, out of my way here. Okay. I wonder what would happen if I choked him out. Won't let me do it. Okay, so that's pretty much it. We're just going to do a little scan here and see if we can find anything else that we haven't grabbed, because the other thing we're going to do in the next episode is buy some cool gear before we go on our mission. So I think that's pretty much it. We've done a good job of... Whoop. We'll get that later. Alright, we've done a pretty good job of covering all of the Hound Pits Pub and, you know, basically our base of operations here. So we will... Oh. Spoken a little too soon there. Alright, so we're going to pick up here with this book in the next game, and then go down and talk to the Admiral and start on our first mission. I know, some of you guys are like, finally, but, you know, we get all these books out of the way, and then later they'll start repeating, and we'll just be like, hey, check out a previous episode, and it'll all work out. Alright, so thanks so much for tuning in. Leave a comment, subscribe, like, and love ya. See you in the next episode.